Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to our NFL preview podcast. This is part two. The last podcast we covered the NFC, and this one we're going to cover the AFC. So I'm back here with Brian. What's up, Brian?
Like as you know, I'm a big Destiny fan. So like yesterday, Destiny 2 came out, so I've been playing that like late last night. But then so on the topic of video games, Madden, there's a new Madden game, Madden 18 with Tom Brady on the cover. And this game also has like this story mode feature called Long Shot, where I don't know too much about it since I haven't played the game. I don't think it's out yet. Where you pick a player. I mean, you have a player and you go through his like how he gets to the pros or something like that. So that's a pretty cool feature to have. But something I wanted to ask you, like, on your opinion about, like, what do you think about the Madden score? Because I hear some reports about some players getting offended because they're rated too low and things like that. So what do you think about their scoring system?
What's funny is the Madden ratings are actually pretty accurate. I know they do tend to kind of go low. I guess they'll score low on a lot of guys. Then what's cool now, because online and stuff, and then what they couldn't do before is that now they can update during the season. So if a guy's low and he starts playing really well, it'll go up. So they're actually pretty close. They're actually pretty close, and then and maybe even tend a little low, which I think is okay. You don't want to give everybody like hundreds, Oh, everyone's freaking awesome and stuff. But if you have someone who's pretty good but can get better, they might be in the 80s or something. And as the season goes on, they'll go up and down depending on injuries and stuff. So what's funny is that and even in 2K, a lot of the players pay attention to their ratings. They actually, as soon as it comes out, they get on it and they'll comment on Twitter. And I think a lot of guys just kind of take it in stride and kind of fun. But I know a lot of guys get offended by it if they don't agree with their Madden ranking, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna prove them wrong during the year and stuff." So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, especially like the wide receivers. Like, how am I ranked number 6 or 7 over like some of these other guys? So yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, like you said, it's pretty cool that they update the stats on a weekly basis. Like, even if you play the game, if you play each game by following the season in real life, they'll have like injury reports that matches like how it is in real life. So if someone's hurt, they wouldn't play that game. So that's pretty cool, like how it's synced up to reality now.
Yeah, and I used to play Madden a lot. I used to play Madden all the time, but I stopped. When did I stop? I want to say around 10 years ago is when I stopped. But before that, I used to play. I was playing. I think I played every Madden from like because my older cousins had it from, so like Madden like 95, 96, all the way up to like 2007. So I played a long time, and I kind of wish that the online stuff was going on then, because I was trying to play it, and I was trying to match the season as best as I could. I would play with the Niners, and I'd go through, and then I play the other team, and then you have injuries and stuff, and it would have been cool back then to have the real injuries come in. Someone gets hurt and they go down, and then I would play that team without their guy, or I would lose a guy or something. That would have been cool. But I stopped playing right when online play really started kicking up, so kind of played at the wrong time. But yeah, it's really cool that they do that. They give you updates, and then if you're playing on Sunday, they'll give you the scores of all the real games and everything, and it's cool. I haven't played in a long time. It's been a while. I might pick one up, maybe in the next year or two, or play at my cousin's house or something, because I know they still get the games. But yeah, I really like how it's so interactive now. The game's interactive with real life, and then you can interact with it, and you can do stuff. And the same thing with 2K. 2K, you can play the whole season. I used to do that with NBA 2K. I used to play all 82 games. But same thing back when online was just getting started. So it would have been cool to play now, especially in basketball, because stuff happens all the time. So that would have been cool. It would have enhanced my experience. But have you been playing NBA 2K too, or just?
No, not really. I mean, my brother plays them, but it's too repetitive. Like those sports games are not really for me, because it's like playing a fighting game. There's no story really, where nothing really advances. You're doing the same thing over and over, which is good. Like, if you want to perfect that game, like if you want to get good at it. But I'm more into games that have a story, where I can feel like I'm moving forward. So these kind of games, I feel like I'm just doing the same thing over and over, and I'm not that type of gamer where I get better the more I play. So it doesn't really help. Keep playing Marvel versus Capcom for 5 hours or 20 hours. It's not gonna make me that much better.
Yeah. Same thing. I only play very few fighting games. I'm into the story and stuff. So it's one of the main reasons I stopped playing sports games is I would just get bored after a while. And I played them for so long. I played them since I was a kid. So it's like 10, 15 years of the same thing. So I was like, well, I guess it's time to move on. But with that, let's dive back into our preview. We did the NFC and last time, and the way we did it, we went NFC West, South, North, and East. So we'll do the same thing with the AFC. We'll go West, South, North, and East. So the AFC West used to be a really bad division. The Raiders were, they've been really bad for years. The Chargers they've had their ups and downs. Same with Kansas City. Recently they've been good, but they're really bad for a while. The only consistently good team was Denver. It seemed like, but this year, I would say actually starting last year, the whole division, it was a good division. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's as good as like the NFC South, but it's actually pretty decent. The last place team, who we'll start with, is the Chargers. For what I'm gonna project them as the last team there. Last year they were 5-11. I don't think they were that bad. They were just crushed last year with injuries. Like they got really, really hammered. They lost Keenan Allen right off the bat, first week. He was their big play receiver. And then the next week they lost Danny Woodhead, who was a really important, like Swiss Army knife type player, running back who can catch passes, but he was a good runner. And he scored a lot of touchdowns. So they lost a lot of guys. And there's even more that I know I'm forgetting. Antonio Gates is getting up there in age, so he's not what he was. Caused them to win only 5 games. And luckily they have Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. He's consistently good year in, year out. Hasn't missed a game in, I don't know if he's ever missed a game, to be honest. He might be one of those Iron Man guys who just never missed a game. And without him, they probably won 0 games. This year, they're getting everyone back. Keenan Allen has been looking good in preseason. Woodhead actually left, went to the Ravens. Really got a pleasant surprise last year in that Melvin Gordon, who really didn't do anything his rookie year, was kind of looked at as a bust. Really came on strong last year and he was one of the league leaders in touchdowns. I don't think they led the league in touchdowns, but one of the lead leaguers in touchdowns. Really solidified himself as a franchise guy. So he's going to be the number 1 back. And with everyone healthy, the Chargers offense is going to be pretty good. They're going to throw up a lot of points. They also have a young tight end. Hunter Henry came on at the end of the year last year. And their defense is actually pretty good. I don't know if it'll be top 10, but they do have a lot of good pieces. They have guys. Well, the big one was Joey Bosa, their star defensive end last year, rookie. He came on strong, and when he started to come on strong, the whole defense changed. So the only problem is they're stuck in this division. It's a really good division. So last year they won 5 games. This year I think they're going to be way more competitive. Unfortunately, they're going to be in division with other good teams. So I'll put them somewhere. I'll say 7 to 8 wins, which will put them in 4th. Which again is what sucks is because they're a good team, and if they were in another division, they might get more wins. It might sniff the playoffs. But this year, being that strong division is going to hurt. So I would say 7 wins around there and 4th place in the AFC West. I think I might have called them the San Diego Chargers. I don't remember, but they are as of this year the now LA Chargers, playing out of the StubHub Center in LA, which is a soccer stadium, which is kind of small. I think it's only like 30,000 people, but actually sounds cool. Like I might go check them out just to see how it is see a professional team in such a small place like that. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, that's a perfect place to watch a football game. I mean, when I heard that they were going to move to StubHub for the next 3 to 4 years until a new stadium is built, I was pretty happy or excited to hear about that. You know, because like all these football stadiums, they all seat about 60,000 people, and if you're not in the top, or I mean the bottom half of the stadium, it's really hard to see. So you're at a small soccer stadium for a professional football team, like that's really cool. Yeah, so I mean, if I lived down there, I would have gone just to check out and like the teams that they're playing, and just as a football fan, just to go out there and watch football, right? So yeah, like you were saying earlier, like they only won 5 games last year, but they had a lot of games where they were really close to winning. Like if they won those games, they would have won probably 8 or 9 games. But I don't know what happened. A lot of freak accidents happened, like in terms of plays, where they just made a dumb mistake and they end up losing the game. I mean, I'm not talking about injuries, I'm just talking about the plays. So they do have a really good team, and it sucks for the San Diego fans that they left San Diego, but hopefully the team, well, maybe they'll do better. Usually winning kind of heals things, right? So maybe that'll kind of fix some of the things that the franchise is going through. And they're like another one of those teams like the Lions, right, where they have the talent the last five years, and they just can't pull it off for whatever reason. So yeah, and like Patrick, his friend, is a season ticket holder for the Chargers when they were in San Diego. I don't know if he is now, but yeah, every season he's always like really excited, but then they always find a way to miss the playoff or lose along the way. So,
like you said, a good comparison is the Lions. They have all these talent, and you look at on paper and you're like, wow, these guys should be really good, and it's just for whatever reason they're not really putting it together. And then now if they are, now that they have a chance to put it together, the rest of the division is good. It's kind of hard, kind of the same thing. I'm having difficulty kind of placing them, but I think what I'll do is I'll put the Broncos in third place this year. They were in third place last year as well. They were 9-7. Their defense is elite. They might be the top defense in the league. It's like them, Seattle, Houston, Kansas City. But their offense is really bad, and that's what's really holding them back. When Peyton Manning retired, it just destroyed their offense. They thought, they had drafted Brock Osweiler thinking that he would be the heir apparent. They let him walk a couple years ago. It turns out they knew that he wasn't very good. He bounced around he went to Houston, and he went to Cleveland. Now he's back in Denver. They have their current starter, Trevor Siemian, was a 7th round pick, and he was just kind of just a pick, just to have he's 7th rounder. He would just be a backup. He's actually starting this year. Their 1st round pick last year, Paxton Lynch, who they drafted to develop and become that franchise guy, really hasn't developed at all and lost the starting job to Siemian, and then he got hurt. I think he's gonna be out like 4 to 5 weeks, hurt his shoulder. So their lack of quarterback play is really holding that team back. I was reading like yesterday or the day before how they're wasting the prime years of their defense. They have guys like Von Miller, who's one of the top defensive players in the league, top 5 defensive player. A bunch of other guys that are really good, but every year you're kind of wasting them because the offense can't get anything done. And the offense has weapons too. They have Demaryius Thomas, they have Emmanuel Sanders at receiver. Their running backs, CJ Anderson always looks like he's supposed to break out, and then he gets hurt or something. But they have talent. They have talent on the offense, on the offensive side, but the quarterback play is really holding them back. So last year they had them winning 9 games. I don't know if I want to give them that much. I think the Chargers are going to be better this year. They might be able to steal a game from them. So I'm actually going to drop the Broncos. I'm going to go 8 wins. Still in third place. Again, elite defense, possibly top defense in the league. Really mediocre offense that's holding them back. If they could just get anyone competent in there, they could take over the division. But that's really their big weakness. So what do you think? What do you think about the Broncos?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I would give them about 7 to 8 wins. Yeah, and so who's going to start the season? Is it Osweiler now?
No, it's Trevor Siemian.
Okay.
Osweiler's Osweiler's the number 2.
That's just So when everyone's healthy, then he's number 3 then.
Yeah, when Lynch. Yeah, in theory, when Lynch comes back, Lynch should be the number 2 guy.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, their defense is really good. I mean, it's still more or less the same team as a Super Bowl team, minus the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
So
minus Peyton.
They just need to fix that somehow. And I don't know. Maybe in the middle of the season they can pull off a trade, but other than that, yeah, they're going to have to rely on the defense a lot. But when they won a Super Bowl, they won it because of from the defense. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. They'll probably just miss the playoffs again, just barely by winning like 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, and like that year with it just went to show how smart of a quarterback Peyton was, because it wasn't his throwing. His arm was shot by that point. It was just him running the offense and being efficient. They're now without him. They're banking on a bunch of young guys, and so far none of them have been able to really establish themselves as great players. So really holding them back. So yeah, I have the Broncos at number 3, missing the playoffs again. The next 2 teams are pretty tough to pick. The Raiders were 12-4 last year, and they came in second. I think I'll keep them at second again, and the only reason is they're a young up-and-coming team. They're kind of like the Green Bay of the AFC. Great offense, elite offense, really bad defense. That defense is bad. They have one great player in Khalil Mack, who's amazing. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He has to do everything. That is just not a good defense, and I'm not sure they did enough in the offseason to help. But on offense, you have one of the top young quarterbacks in Derek Carr. You have Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree at receiver. They brought back, Marshawn Lynch out of retirement. We'll see how that goes. His last year in Seattle, he looked pretty much shot. He looked done. He took a year off, got rested, got healed up. He looked okay in preseason, so we'll see if that's able to hold up over the year. I don't think so. And like I said, in Seattle, he looked pretty much done. But they do have other young running backs that can help him out. They have one of the best O-lines in the league, if not the best O-line. It was Dallas last year. Dallas had some changes. So that offense can just drop 30, 40 points on you, no problem. But that defense is just really bad. So I think that's going to hurt them in the playoffs again, just as it did last year. And also Derek Carr got hurt. And when your franchise guy quarterback goes down right before the playoffs start, you're pretty much having no chance. But they had him at 12-4. I'll keep them there at 12-4. The offense is really good. The defense is really bad. And it's probably going to be like a lot of the same thing. They'll make the playoffs and then they'll probably lose because they can't get any stops. But yeah, I'll keep the Raiders in second place. You know what? 12 wins might be a little too much. I think teams are going to be ready for them this year. They kind of came in by surprise. I'll put them more like 10 wins in second place.
Yeah, I would give them about 10 to 11 wins. I think they'll do better. Not in the win category, but I think they'll play better. Yeah, you're right about the defense. They're like you compare them to the Packers. I compare them to the Saints. Where I watched a few games last year where they had a pretty decent lead, and then the other team would just storm back very quickly.
Yeah.
Just from like 2 or 3 quick plays, and then they would score a touchdown, and then everyone would be all nervous. So that happened pretty often. And the other thing is, like, they don't have a good backup quarterback. They got the guy from Michigan State last year, Connor, but when they threw him out there after Carr got injured, he was a disaster. So I think
he actually lost the backup job this year to EJ Manuel.
Oh, okay.
And EJ Manuel is really bad too. He's from Buffalo. That guy's not good either.
So they're all riding, their quarterback situation is all riding on Carr. I think he'll get better. He got paid, but then that's the other thing, right? Like, whenever someone gets paid, I never know if they're going to get better or get worse. So we'll see. I mean, I think the team is still good. It's just, like you said, the defense is bad.
Yeah, and being up in the Bay Area, what kind of stuff are they talking about up there for the Raiders?
They're pretty high on Raiders. I mean, since I've lived up here, they've been coming up, right? They've been getting better and better each year. So, but then like, they get punched in the gut by announcing that they're moving to Vegas in a few years. So, but the fans here, all the diehard fans, they don't really care. I mean, they care that they're leaving the city, but all of them still say that they're going to continue to be a Raiders fan. So I don't think that's a problem. It's just a little disappointing that your team, the team sucked for almost 20 years, and then as soon as they get good, they leave.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a couple years, right? It's like 2 or 3 years before they leave. Yeah. So I know Derek Carr said he's gonna, they're gonna do their best to try and win a Super Bowl before they leave. But
It's gonna be hard.
It's gonna be hard, man. That's in football. It's easier said than done.
Yeah, but they do need to move though. I mean, they just couldn't get a deal to build a new stadium in Oakland or anywhere. The Coliseum is a dump, so
yeah,
they have to move somewhere. So, I mean, it's in Las Vegas. I think that's fine. That makes there's only one football team in town again, which might be a good thing.
Yeah, and it's cool to get a team in Vegas. And if all teams that go to Vegas, the Raiders are like the perfect fit.
Yeah.
I know a lot of my family members and stuff, they're Raider fans, and they're happy because I don't know about the majority of their fan base, but a big part of their fan base is here in Southern California. And a trip to Vegas is a lot closer than a trip to Oakland.
Right.
And, you can do stuff when you go. You can check out the game, then you can go hit the buffet, you can stay at a nice hotel, there's a lot of stuff you can do, and they're working on getting a bullet train to go from here to Vegas and everything, so it works out. I think it's a good move. They needed to get out of Oakland, or they needed a new stadium. They couldn't get it done in Oakland, but they need one, so moving to Vegas to give them a new stadium, it works out.
Yeah, like you said, the fans, the Raiders fan, they travel. I mean,
yeah, they do.
On games where they have home games, I'm by the airport. There's a lot of people from out of town just flying in for the weekend just to go to a Raiders game. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, moving to Vegas, that'll make it a lot easier for the LA people to just drive out there on the weekend.
Right. That's the Raiders. They have them in second place, which leaves Kansas City as the division winner. Last year they won 12 games, and I think they're going to win the division again. The Raiders are up and coming. They got a lot of young talent, but that's the thing, though, is that they're young. That's a young team. Kansas City is that established veteran team. They make the playoffs all the time. Andy Reid's their head coach, one of the most winningest coaches in the NFL. Their offense is good. It's not elite like the Raiders, but Alex Smith is the quarterback. He runs the offense. He's not a game breaker or anything, but he runs the offense exactly how the coach wants it. And they're a good offense. They're efficient offense. They have a couple young, new up-and-coming weapons in Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt. And they have a solid O-line. And really, that what really makes that offense good is Andy Reid is such an offensive genius that he knows how to maximize his personnel. So last year, Travis Kelce was finally able to stay healthy and really came on as a dominant tight end. And Alex Smith really knows how to use his tight ends. Back when he was in Frisco, Vernon Davis had his best years with him. So good offense and a great defense. Their defense is up there as well as one of the top defenses in the league. They're a smart defense. They cause a lot of turnovers. They're actually a high-scoring defense, which is kind of funny to say, but they are. And if you ever get them in fantasy, you know why. They get a lot of turnovers for either pick six or fumble for a touchdown. And once they clamp down on you, they end the game. So they didn't lose anybody. It's pretty much the same team from last year on defense. On offense, like I said, they brought in a couple new weapons. They lost Jeremy Maclin, which I don't think is such a big loss. He didn't do too much. He was okay. He was going to cost a lot of money, so they let him go. He went to Baltimore. So I think they're just going to do it again. Like I said, a smart quarterback, smart coach, West Coast offense, great defense, and that's pretty much how you win games. The Chiefs, they can win games. Now, will they win the playoffs? That's a different story. The knock on them is that Alex can't elevate his game enough to win in playoffs, but they win, though. They win, and they get there. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. They won 12 last year. I'll say 10, 11. 12 is a lot. That's just a lot to win every year. So 10, 11 games, and they'll win that division again. Yeah,
so another person they lost is Jamal Charles. Yeah, it looks like CJ Spiller. I don't think he's not going to do much. Or Spencer Ware are going to have to pick up the load for running back. But yeah, they're like the team that's like really good in the regular season, but not so good in the playoff. I don't know if it's just bad luck or what it is, but or Alex Smith just can't handle the pressure. But whenever the past 2 years, they're always like the top 4 or 5 teams that I think are in the hunt to go to the Super Bowl, but they get bounced out pretty early. So I don't know. Like they did lose a few big key players. So we'll see. I mean, I agree with you. I would still put them first in the division, but I think just being in this division, there's like all these good teams, like they're just gonna kill each other. So by the time we get into the playoff, there'll be a lot more tired than the opponents that end up playing.
Yeah, they're kind of like the I'm trying to think of the NBA team. I had it on the tip of my tongue. They're kind of like the Pacers. The Pacers would win all the time every year, and then they get to the playoffs and just lose. Yeah, they're kind of like the same thing. They're kind of vanilla. They're not really exciting. They just win. And then when they do go up against an elite team, they in the playoffs they fold. But hey, they win and they get there, so you can't really knock them for that. So yeah, so I have the Chiefs. So to recap real quick: Chargers, Broncos, Raiders, Chiefs, and that'll be the AFC West. So moving on from the AFC West, probably one of the more competitive divisions in football, we go to one of the least competitive divisions in football, and that's the AFC South. This division was ruled with an iron fist by Peyton Manning for years and years and years, and the other teams just never seemed to challenge him. I guess they would get kind of good, and they would suck, and there have some years where they would be playoff contenders and stuff. But for the most part, this division has just been pretty bad. And so we'll just start with the worst team. Well, actually, with an asterisk. I'll put Jacksonville in last for now. The reason being is we don't know what's going on with Andrew Luck and the Colts. We don't know his health. The Colts really don't seem to know what's going on with him. They're expecting him to come back. Well, they're expecting him to miss game 1, but then be available. So we'll keep it like that for now. That Luck will be back in a week or two. So, when keeping that in mind, that'll put Jacksonville in last place. And Jacksonville is another one of those teams where you just look at all the talent on that team and you're like, wow, how can this team just be so bad? And again, it's the quarterback play. They drafted Blake Bortles 2 years ago, number 2 overall, and they were hoping he would take over as a franchise quarterback. 2 seasons ago, he had I guess they drafted him 3 years ago. And so 2 years ago, he came on really strong and it looked like, oh, okay, this guy, he's going to be legit. You had him throwing to Allen Robinson, who's an elite receiver. Allen Hurns, who was that year anyway, was an elite number 2. They had Julius Thomas at tight end, who had coming off a big year in Denver. They also had a lot of young defensive talent. And I think I forgot how many games they won that year, but they just looked like the future was bright for Jacksonville. And last year it all just came crashing down. Blake Bortles regressed really bad. All of a sudden, it was just weird. Like all of a sudden, he just didn't know how to play football. He regressed. He killed the numbers for Allen Robinson. Allen Hurns kind of crashed back to earth and disappeared last year. Julius Thomas was just a total bust as a free agent signing. He was injured. And their running backs, they had Chris Ivory and they had drafted TJ Yeldon, and neither guy could really take over. So the offense just kind of shot him in the foot. Their defense, again, has a lot of talent, and you would look at the defense, think, man, how is this team any bad? Bad. And I don't know if it's just from the offense being so bad, but the defense really couldn't hold up their end of the deal as well. You have guys like Dante Fowler came on really strong. Calais Campbell they signed to be a veteran leader. They had drafted Miles Jack last year out of UCLA. They had Paul Leslie, who was a really solid linebacker in Buffalo for a long time. They drafted Jalen Ramsey last year as a corner. The safety to Sean Gibson. You just go up and down this defense, and it's a good defense. And I'm not sure if it was just the offense that murdered them, but it very well could have been. So this year, it doesn't look like much has changed for the offense. Blake Bortles is still a starter, but he barely held on to the starting job over Chad Henne, who's a career backup. I mean, he's a good backup. He's a guy you want on your team for a game or two, but to start the whole season, that's not good. So with Blake Bortles kind of sabotaging the offense, I don't see them winning very many games. They did draft Leonard Fournette out of LSU, who's a physical freak running back. If they lean on, maybe they lean on him a lot more to help out and get that offense going. But with the quarterbacks as bad as Blake Bortles has been, there's really not a whole lot you can do. You just can't win in the NFL without a good quarterback. So Jacksonville last year, they won 3 games. Sounds about right. Someone, I think it was Rex Ryan the other day, says you can accidentally win 4 games. So Jacksonville, as bad as they are, they'll sneak up on a few people. Teams ready for their bye week and stuff like that. So 3 wins, that sounds about right for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I don't think you need to have that asterisk. Even with Luck out, I don't think the Colts are going to be last. I still think Jacksonville are going to be last place. So the report on Blake Bortles last year is that like his throwing motion, he went backwards.
Right.
So that's his throwing motion is just broken, and they can't seem to fix it. So I don't know if they were able to do anything during the off season, but if this continues, like they're going to waste another year, and then they're going to have to go into the draft looking for a quarterback, which might be a good thing because there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out into the draft this off season. So I think this year is more to give him a last chance type of thing. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know if they're going to stick with him the whole season or by their bye week they're going to just step in and say that's it. Like we gotta get him out of there. But it doesn't matter. Like there's no one at the games anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just ship them to London or wherever, some other overseas expansion team, and just leave them there.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, if they can just get a good quarterback in there, they have weapons. They have. When your quarterback's that bad, it just kills you. Yeah, like I said, I had an asterisk with them because of the Colts. Last year, the Colts were 8-8, and I was with Andrew Luck, mainly because their defense is horrible. This is one of the worst defenses. It was right down there with the 49ers last year, and that's one of the reasons why it cost the GM his job is that he couldn't draft a defense. He couldn't sign free agents for a defense. He would just throw guys out there, and I remember he drafted a couple of defensive guys that ended up being big time busts, like the guy from Florida State, big monster defensive end. He took him, and he was out of the league really quick. Yeah, that defense is just murder. And they brought in a new GM, and he's going to be bringing in his new guys and stuff. But it's going to take time. It's going to take time to build up that defense. So with that defense and with Andrew Luck, they were only able to scrape by 8 wins last year. If Andrew Luck's going to miss games, they're going to win even less. They don't really have a backup. They have Scott Toolzien, who was a former backup for the 49ers and the Packers. Again, a decent backup. He's a guy. He's a guy you want on your team. He can hang in there for a game or two, but not if he's going to play for half of the season. So without Luck, and we already know for sure he's not playing week 1. Without him, it just decimates that offense. And again, a lot of really good players on the T.Y. Hilton is an amazing receiver, led the league in receiving last year. Dante Moncrief is a weapon. Frank Gore, our old buddy Frank Gore, is still kicking, still getting 1,000-yard seasons. Offense is there, but they need Luck. They need Luck to play. They need him to be healthy. If he misses 4 or 5 games, that's it for their season. They're not going to be able to recover, I don't think. Not with that defense. So last year they're at 8 wins. With Luck being hurt, I'm going to drop them. Probably around 6 wins, I think. With Luck, if he does only miss 1 game, maybe they can get 8 wins again. But it kind of sucks that you have one of the best young quarterbacks in the league, and you're kind of he's wasting away over there so far. So yeah, so anywhere from 6 to 8 wins, depending on if Luck plays. Yeah.
So you mentioned their bad defense, their offense, their O-line sucked really bad too, and that's why Luck is injured right now.
Yeah.
He was playing last season with something was broken, like something was hurt, like a kidney or something.
Yeah, he was messed up last year.
Yeah, so he's a big guy, and but he has no protection. You're just leaving him out there, and he's getting blasted all the time. And so they're not doing anything on that side to protect him. So I don't know what they're doing. They're getting some pretty decent running backs and receivers, but you're not protecting your franchise quarterback, and the defense sucks. But they were still able to win 8 games last year. But like you said, this division is like the worst division in the league. So I can see them getting 6 to 8 wins. But yeah, they wouldn't be in the playoff picture this year.
So yeah, we have this division that has 2 really bad teams, and then also has 2 good teams. Last year they were both tied actually with 9-7 records, the Texans and the Titans. But I think this year, the Titans have taken a big step forward. So I'm gonna put Houston in second. Another team with an elite. They're kind of like in the Denver Broncos situation. Elite defense, really elite defense, maybe the best in the league with J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney. They were the number one defense in the league last year without J.J. Watt, and now he's back. So they could be even better. And their offense, again, it's the quarterbacks that's killing them. You have one of the best receivers in the league in DeAndre Hopkins, solid running back in Lamar Miller, decent or the O-line's okay, I guess. But I think this year they're starting Tom Savage. They drafted Deshaun Watson, right, out of Clemson?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so they know they need to get a quarterback. They drafted him out of the first round. He's not ready yet, so they're going with Tom Savage. If they can just get any type of good quarterback played, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins a couple years ago with Brian Hoyer led the league in receiving, had an amazing year. They brought in Brock Osweiler, who was horrible. He was just one of the worst players in the league and just tanked the whole season, just ruined the whole season for them. Offensively, I mean, they still won 9 games, but that was mainly off of their defense. So, again, they're pretty much like I said, they're like the Denver Broncos of the South. And it was enough for them to win the division last year, make the playoffs. They were able to beat the Raiders because the Raiders didn't have Derek Carr. I don't think they're going to be as lucky this year with their matchups like that. And I think the Tennessee Titans are going to take over. So I'll knock the Texans down to second. They had 9 wins. I think they can get 9 wins, mainly because they have 4 free wins against the Colts and Jaguars. So I can still see them getting 9 wins and taking second.
Yeah, so if they're able to get 9 wins with Brock Osweiler, then they should get another 9 wins this season, maybe 10. Yeah, so let me ask you, when do you think they'll throw in Deshaun Watson?
You know what? Let me take a look at their schedule real quick. If their schedule is brutal to begin with, let's see here. Let's see: Jacksonville, Cincinnati, New England, Tennessee, Kansas City, Cleveland. Their bye week is at 7. So let's say they get 2 wins. Let's say they beat Jacksonville and they beat Cleveland, and let's say I'm not saying they are, but let's say they lose to Cincy, New England, Tennessee, and Kansas City, which is possible because those 4 teams are all good. And let's say they go into the bye week at 2-4, I can see them making the switch right there, which would be I guess they would, because I was going to say their game after that is Seattle. So, but I don't think you want to hold your quarterback through the bye week, have him play against Seattle, and then put in your rookie. I think it's better to go through the whole bye week and give him 2 weeks to get ready, because after that he has 2 easier games in the Colts and the Rams. So probably bye week. I would say week 7. If the bottom's out, they can very well be 5-1 or 6-0 because their defense is so good. Yeah,
well, 2 years ago, we saw so many quarterback changes, right? It was you don't know which one of those backup, the quarterbacks were going to start. So I don't think they're going to wait too long. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think if they do make a change, it's going to be during a bye week. But I don't think they're going to hold him out for the entire season. Some of the guys that you missed that are pretty decent, I think, is Will Fuller. I think he's not a bad receiver. And they have Lamar Miller. He's good. And Alfred Blue. So they have a pretty good team on the offensive side as well. It's just that they need a good quarterback.
They need the quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, and Clowney's healthy this year, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. He finally was healthy. He was finally healthy last year, and he showed what he can do. He showed why they made him the number 1 pick.
Yeah, that guy is a monster. So him and J.J. Watt on both corners, it's pretty scary if you're a quarterback. So yeah, we'll see how they do.
So with them being in second, that leaves Tennessee as the top team, and I think Tennessee is going to be really good this year. Their defense had already started to come on strong last year. Marcus Mariota was playing really well before he broke his leg, and they went out and this is what I like. I like what they did in that they went out and they got him a couple of weapons. They got him Eric Decker, receiver. He was on the Jets the last couple of years, but the Jets are in full tank mode, so they let him go. So to have a veteran receiver out there who's had success in the league is a smart move. DeMarco Murray kind of reestablished himself as one of the top running backs in the league last year. 2 years ago, he was in Philly. He playing for Chip Kelly. It didn't work out. He kind of looked like he was washed up. Went to Tennessee. They drafted Derrick Henry thinking that he would take over, and didn't work. DeMarco Murray was like, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still DeMarco Murray. So they have a powerful 1-2 punch in DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. And then they drafted Corey Davis, rookie receiver, pretty high in the draft this year. So they have hope for him, and they still have Rashard Matthews, who established himself last year as a number one receiver. So that offense, I think, is ready to go. If Marcus Mariota keeps developing, growing like as what he was showing last year, this is going to be a really tough team, a real tough team to beat. And then, like I said, that defense have really good players as well. They have, I'm trying to think of his name, Derek Morgan, Brian Rapko is still around. He's not what he once was, but he's still okay. They have Logan Ryan, Jonathan Cyprien at safety. So that defense is pretty. It's not great. It's not an elite defense. It's not up there with Houston or anything, but it's enough to get the job done. And also on offense, I forgot our old buddy Delaney Walker. He's established himself as a really, really important part of that offense. So yeah, I'm excited to I'm gonna go up and see them this year when they play San Francisco in December. I'm pretty sure they're gonna crush us by that point. I think they're gonna be in full mode, playoff mode. So Tennessee last year they had 9 wins. Again, because they're gonna get 4 free ones with the Colts and Jaguars. I could see them getting easily 9 again. And if Mariota keeps growing, they can even push 10 or 11 wins, winning this division and making the playoffs for the first time in like 10 years or whatever it's been. It's been a long time for them.
Yeah, they were close to making it last year too. It just like Mariota broke his leg, like you said, so it kind of had an unlucky break. But yeah, I think this year they should get a lot better. So we'll see. I mean, they're the team that's coming up out of this division.
What everyone thought Jacksonville was going to be doing by this time. They thought Jacksonville was going to be the good team. Well, it's kind of funny. Everyone thought it was going to be the Colts ruling this division with Andrew Luck as Peyton Manning 2.0, and then Jacksonville really coming on as a young, hot team, and it's not working out that way. Houston showing that old school run first, defense wins championships team is still the way to go. But Tennessee's coming up strong, and I think they're gonna take over this year. So that's the AFC South. Recap real quick: Jacksonville, Colts, Texans, and Titans, with the Titans making the playoffs for the first time in 10 years or so. Okay, so moving on from the AFC South to a little more balanced division, the AFC North. Pretty much not a secret about who's going to be the worst team in that division. That's Cleveland. They're in full-on rebuilding mode. However, they're actually started their process. They're not like the Jets right now who are tanking. Well, let me take that back. The Jets are tanking this year. The Cleveland's actually rebuilding. They brought in Hugh Jackson last year to be their coach. He had to pretty much break the team down, get rid of all the old veterans and stuff like that. And they knew that it's going to be a long time. This team's been so bad for so long. Last year they only won 2 games. This year they went out and officially began the rebuilding process in the draft when they took Deshaun Kaiser from Notre Dame in the first round, and he actually took over the starting job this year. So they're hoping that he'll be the franchise quarterback for the next 10, 15 years. We'll see how it goes. Cleveland just hasn't had any luck with quarterbacks. So they have Deshaun Kaiser on offense. They have Isaiah Crowell, who showed that he's a legit running back. They have Duke Johnson at running back. They drafted Corey Coleman last year, he flashed potential, but the quarterback situation last year was so messed up, it was hard to really see what he can do. So hopefully with Kaiser in there, we can see. Defensively, they had the number 1 pick this year, and they took Myles Garrett from Texas A&M. The guy's a freak, defensive end. He should be a monster right away. Or actually, when he gets back, he hurt his ankle. I think yesterday he sprained his ankle. They don't know. He might miss a game or 2, but he looked like a for sure thing coming out of the draft. And they do have other good players on defense. Danny Shelton, the nose tackle. They drafted Jabril Peppers to take over in the back in the secondary. Yeah, Cleveland actually ended up with 3 first-round picks this year, and I think they did a good job. I think they really set themselves up to be successful eventually. Myles Garrett was the number 1 pick. They got Deshaun Kaiser, and then they were able to trade back in at the end of the round and picked up Jabril Peppers. So some good young talent. It's a youth movement. A lot of people are still thinking they're not done yet. They might try and trade Joe Thomas, who's the all-pro left tackle, who's been there for 10, 11 years, one of the best left tackles in the game, and everyone's kind of like, man, don't leave him on your team. This poor guy's been on crappy teams his whole career, and he's the consummate pro. Get him out of there. But we'll see what happens if they decide to keep him or not. I know they had put Josh Gordon up for trade for a couple times, and we still don't really know what's going on with him. So really not much to say other than that they're starting the rebuilding process. Kind of like the Niners are, but just with less talent. So it's going to be a while with them. Last year they got 2 wins, or I take that back. They got 1 win. They only had 1 win, and it actually looked like they were going to be 0-16 for a while there, but they were able to sneak one in there and avoid the 0-16 season. Again, Rex Ryan said you accidentally win 3 games, so I'll be nice to them and I'll give them 3 games. Anything more than that would be a surprise.
Who did they beat again?
San Diego, I think.
Was it San Diego?
Yeah,
I thought Niners.
No. It was the Chargers. Yeah, they didn't play the Niners, so they were able to beat the Chargers in like week 15 or week 16. It was around Christmas when they won.
Yeah, I don't know too much about this team. I mean, they're always rebuilding. They're always drafting quarterbacks. There was like this one thing I saw. I think I was on ESPN or something. Like they showed the number of quarterbacks they've drafted since like 90 or something. It's a lot.
There's
years where they would go through 2 or 3 quarterbacks in one year, and they just, I don't know. I mean, it's tough, right? Like even if you have a franchise quarterback, you're not surrounding him with good players. So what are you can't really do anything about it. So yeah, but like you said, they are slowly rebuilding, and I do see progress. But it's going to take another few more years before we see anything where they can start to have a winning record. But it's going to take a while.
They did something that the Niners didn't, is that they were cutting a lot of guys. They were cutting a lot of veterans and stuff to tank on purpose to get that number 1 pick. So they're talent-wise, they're worse off than the Niners are. Like we were talking, in the last podcast, how the Niners can win 5 games and maybe even surprise and get, 6 or 7. But Cleveland's just not going to do that. They just don't have the talent. So it's just a year for them, to go for another high pick next year and hope that Deshaun Kaiser develops. So that was the last place team. Cincinnati was 6-9-1 last year. In third place, I don't remember. Was Andy Dalton hurt last year?
He was in the later part of the year.
Yeah.
BJ McCarron, I think, was that last year? It might have been 2 years ago.
No, that was 2 years ago. Yeah, that was 2 years ago. The Bengals they're another team that they always seem to be. Oh, they're like a good team every year. They're a good team. They're not a great team. Last year was the first year they missed the playoffs in a while. They hadn't made the playoffs like 4 or 5 times. Marvin Lewis, I think, made the head coach. As long as he's been there, they made the playoffs, but they've never won a playoff game. They're like 0-7 or something like that. The offense has a lot of weapons. Andy Dalton's a serviceable quarterback. He's not great, but he won't kill you. Well, they have one of the best receivers in the game in AJ Green. They drafted Joe Mixon, running back, who seems to looks like he's going to be a real player. They had Jeremy Hill a couple years ago, he had a real strong rookie year, then just fell away completely. They still have Giovanni Bernard, who's a good third down back, pass catching guy, good O-line. Their defense is always solid every year. It's always hovering around like top 15. It's not a shutdown defense, but it is good. You're not going to run right over it or anything. Who else? Brandon LaFell, receiver. They also drafted John Ross, as a speedster. Tyler Eifert is, when healthy, he's one of the top tight ends in the game, but that guy has a real problem with staying healthy. I had him a couple years ago in fantasy. He had like 15 or 16 touchdowns. Some dumb. He had a ton of touchdowns. The guy's really good. Again, decent defense. Geno Atkins is a baller up front. Carlos Dunlap, the defensive end. Devontae's perfect when he's good, when he's not getting suspended. He is suspended right now. He's gonna miss like a game or two. It's a good team. It's a good team. It should probably be a playoff team, but I think they're a step behind the Ravens and the Steelers. So I'm gonna put them at 3 again. Their record is 6-9-1. They had a tie last year. I'll give them about 7. Let's say 7 wins.
Yeah, 7 sounds about right. This is another team that didn't really improve too much in my eyes. But they're another one of those teams where, well, not last year, but consistently before that, they look like the team going in looking really good in the regular season. And when they go into the playoff, they always find a way to beat themselves or to lose somehow. So they're another one of those like really disappointing teams to follow if you're a fan. But I don't see any improvement this year that will really take them to the next level. Drafting Mixon is a good thing, but we'll see how he performs. So not too much to add with the Bengals.
Yeah, they're really not an exciting team. You know, they're okay. You know, they're good every year. They're good. Like you said, they never really make a big jump forward. They're always just good. They make the playoffs and they lose. They're just not exciting. They're not flashy. They're just the same. They're just the same every year.
Which AJ Green's fun to watch, but that's about it.
Yeah, and I guess I was reading an article too not too long ago that for Cincinnati fans, it's actually okay because they were so bad for so long. Like they were.
So they're expecting this. Like this is good enough.
Yeah, this is like they're like, hey, you know what? We're not the worst team in the league, so they'll take it.
Okay. Well, that's probably why Marvin Lewis is still the coach.
He's still That's why he hasn't been fired. They're like, no, don't blow it. What if we don't? What if we get someone else and then we stop making the playoffs? And we go back to being, they go back to being the Browns again. So Baltimore, I have at number 3. This team is kind of the same thing. They're not an exciting team. They're really well coached by John Harbaugh. They won a Super Bowl in 2012. Their offense is it really kind of goes with Flacco. That year Flacco balled out of his mind. It was a contract year. He played great, so their offense was really good. Then he got paid, and like Brian's mentioned, you don't know what's going to happen after the guy gets paid. He got paid and he took a step back. Now he's okay. He's an okay quarterback. They have weapons. They brought in Jeremy Maclin. They brought in Danny Woodhead. They've had Mike Wallace now for a year or two. Steve Smith retired. They have receiver Brashad Perriman, who if he can ever stay healthy, he's a speed demon. O-line is okay. Defensively, it's looking like their defense is starting to get back to where they were, not quite at the Super Bowl level. Like that was an elite defense. This defense is going to be good, probably be good, maybe very good, but I don't know if it'll be on the same level as like Houston or Kansas City's or Seattle's, but it's looking like it's going to be a good defense. And that's kind of been Baltimore's calling card for years and years and years was their great defense. When they won the Super Bowl in 2000, they had one of the best defenses of all time. When they played the Niners in the Super Bowl, they had one of the best defenses in the league. Both teams had the best defense in the league, so that's kind of been their identity. And then they're trying to get it back. They brought in Eric Weddle last year, Brandon Carr. They still have guys like Terrell Suggs and C.J. Mosley. So it'll be a good defense. So the reason why I have them above the Bengals is that they seem to be just like a better version of the Bengals. They're almost the same. Good defenses, good offenses with okay quarterbacks. But I think Baltimore is just a little bit better. I think they're better coached. I think John Harbaugh is a better coach than Marvin Lewis is. And yeah, so what did they have last year? They had 8 wins last year. Same, I would say 8-9. I don't think they improved that much from a year ago. We'll see how Joe Flacco's also hurt his back during the preseason. He didn't play at all, but he's going to start week 1. So if Flacco comes in and he's competent like normally, I think they'll be back to where they were, fighting for the playoffs. I don't know if they'll make it to the playoffs, but I think they'll get close. So 8 wins. I would say 8-9 wins this year too.
Yeah. So Flacco's getting up in age, so I don't really trust him anymore as a quarterback. But the good thing is they have Ryan Mallett as a backup, so it could be a good replacement if he shows up on time.
Yeah, if he gets to the meeting, he doesn't sleep in.
Yeah, or get to the airport and all that. So, but yeah, they'll probably get 6 to 8 wins. I don't see them going to the playoff, but yeah, they still have a pretty good defense. It's just and pretty good offense too. It's more on the quarterback position where they don't really have a good quarterback. Maybe in this offseason, this is another one of those teams that should consider going to the draft during the offseason and picking up one of the quarterbacks coming out of the college.
Yeah, and I think they really couldn't do anything with Flacco because they gave him that big contract after they won the Super Bowl. But it's been a few years now, and I think it's at the point to where they can do something. They can let him go or something like that, and they won't destroy their salary cap. Whereas the last 2-3 years they couldn't. If they were to cut him, they would just wreck their salary cap. They couldn't trade him because no one would take that contract, so they were kind of stuck. But I think now, I think after this year, I think you're right. I think they're going to be looking on for that next guy to take them to the next level. So with them being in second, that leaves the top team, which is the Steelers. And I think the Steelers are going to be really, really good this year. They're going to be Super Bowl contenders, deep run in the playoffs. Their offense has been one of the top offenses in the last few years. Antonio Brown, who might be the best receiver in the league. Le'Veon Bell, who might be the best running back in the league. And they also have really dangerous weapons like Martavis Bryant. He's back from his suspension. He missed all of last year. And Big Ben is still the quarterback. He's still playing well. So, yeah, as long as all those guys, really depends on health. It doesn't seem like those dudes are ever all healthy at the same time or not suspended. Le'Veon Bell has been suspended a couple times. So as long as they're all healthy, as long as no one's suspended, and as long as they make the playoffs when everyone's clicking, that offense is going to be really, really scary. Their defense has been good the last couple of years, but I think this year it looks like they're getting ready to take that next step to get back to old school Steelers defenses when they were always one of the top defenses in the league. They went out. They still have guys like James Harrison, who looked like he was going to retire a couple years ago, but no, he's still around. He's still kicking butt. Bud Dupree looks like he's going to be an all-star linebacker. They still have Cameron Hayward, star defensive end, and then their linebacker Ryan Shazier. This year they drafted T.J. Watt, J.J. Watt's little brother, to come in, and they also brought in Joe Hayden from the Browns, who's the last couple of years has been banged up, but before that he was a shutdown corner. So this team has everything going for it to make that deep playoff run and maybe go up against the Patriots in the AFC Championship or in the playoffs or something. Last year they had 11 wins. I think that sounds about right. They might even get one or two more. I think they're going to be that good, especially being in a division with Cleveland and Cincinnati. I think they can win those games pretty easy. But yeah, no, I think the Steelers are gonna go far, and really, it really just depends on health. Depends on health and suspensions. As long as everyone's good, this could be a Super Bowl contending team.
Yeah, you left out one person. Your boy Vance. He's on the.
Oh yeah, that's right. We traded Vance McDonald to Pittsburgh. That's been one of the weaknesses for a couple years now. Has been tight end ever since they had one. Who was it? Was it man? They had a decent tight end for a while, and he left or he retired. But ever since then, they've had just like a rotating door of guys. So they traded for Vance McDonald, and I was like, I don't know why, but hey, go for it, take him.
They can have him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, they have a really hard time keeping everyone
Heath Miller, that's who it was.
Yeah, Heath Miller.
Heath Miller, yeah.
Yeah, they have a really hard time like keeping all the guys on the field together. I think last year, I'm not even sure if they all played together. Like all the top offensive players, there's always someone out or suspended. So I think this year, hopefully they can avoid the injuries and the suspensions. And there's a lot of talk about like Roethlisberger's for him to be his last year, right? Like he's always hinting it,
right?
But I don't know. I'm starting to see the end for him. You know, this is like his 14th year already. So I think he's going to do the thing like I guess sort of like what Tim Duncan did, where he kind of evaluated every year and if he feels like it's not going anywhere and it hurts too much to continue playing, then he may just call it quits and retire.
Yeah, so you think maybe he's gonna want to go out on top. So
Yeah.
So that's the NFC North. Recap real quick. We have the Browns in fourth, the Bengals, the Ravens, and then the Steelers in that order. All right, so that brings us to our last division. Probably the worst division in football. That's the AFC East. You already know who's going to be number one, and that's New England, without a doubt. And then we have three just trash teams after that. So let's get with the worst one, and that's the New York Jets. They're blatantly tanking this year. They don't care about winning. They want that number one pick. They want that quarterback, whether it be Sam Darnold or Josh Allen or Josh Rosen next year. They cut everybody. They traded, or I don't think they traded. They released Eric Decker, Brandon Marshall. I'm surprised they held on to Matt Forte. I thought for sure he would be gone. There's really no reason for him to be on that team. They signed Josh McCown to be the quarterback, which is weird because they're going so young. I mean, he's 38, but I think they just want anyone who can just play. Their backups are bad. Bryce Petty, Christian Hackenberg. Bilal Powell is like their only real offensive weapon now that Quincy Enunwa, who was supposed to be their top receiver, tore his ACL. I think he's out for the year. Other than that, just nothing. There's nothing there. Like I said, they're not trying to win. They're just not. They traded away Sheldon Richardson, one of their top defensive tackles. They traded him to Seattle. They still have Muhammad Wilkerson and Leonard Williams, two young studs who, if they're gonna be rebuilding next year, that they're gonna want those guys. They're gonna carry that defense. But yeah, I mean, there's really not much. They drafted Jamal Adams, safety, one of the top safeties in the league. He came in college, came out of LSU. So he'll be a future piece, but other than that, they're just tanking. There's talk of them being 0-16. There's talk of them being the worst offense of all time, scoring fewer than 200 points total in the whole year, which would set the record. Just really bad team there, but I mean, when you're tanking, there's really not much to say. So yeah, that's it for the Jets. If they're saying 0-16, I don't know if they'll do 0-16, but 1-2 wins max. That's it for the Jets.
Yeah, so we all know that they're intentionally tanking now, but how can their fans trust them to make a good decision, right? Like a few years ago, they tried to get a new quarterback and they got Geno Smith, and he became a disaster. So
yeah,
if they tank, they're not going to make the right decision. So yeah, there's really not much to say here. They're just tanking on purpose. They pretty much traded away or let go of all the good players. Matt Forte, I heard they were going to just cut him, but maybe they changed their mind. They're just keeping him on the roster and waste a year of his life, and, just going out there to play. But there's really no point since they're not even hiding the fact that they're tanking this year. So it sucks to be a Jets fan. It's going to be a long year for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's about it. And then the other team, the next team, who they seem to be tanking as well, not as blatantly as the Jets, but it's Buffalo. They traded away Sammy Watkins to the Rams. They have Tyrod Taylor, who they wouldn't give a contract to, so I think they know they're not going to hitched their wagons to him. So he's just pretty much just playing out his deal. But they still have a couple. They actually really don't have that many guys on offense. It's really Shady McCoy and Tyrod Taylor, and that's about it. They drafted receivers Zay Jones. They brought in Jordan Matthews from Philly. He was kind of a bust out there. He really didn't live up. Defensively, they have a couple guys. They have Shaq Lawson, young guy, Jerry Hughes. But even if the defense is okay, which they're not, it's not a good defense. It's pretty bad. Again, a tanking team, not like I said, not as bad as the Jets, but they're not really playing for anything this year either. 2-3 wins this year most. Just same thing as with the Jets. It's bad for their fans. There's gonna be a long year. Just again, not much to say with this team.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. They let go of the Ryan brothers. They are trying to make changes. It's just that it's going to be a long process.
Yeah, the Ryan brothers didn't work out. They brought in Rex. They were hoping that he would be able to bring his smash mouth style of football, build up that defense, run the ball with Shady, but it didn't work. So they fired him, and they're just starting over. So, rebuilding. Well, I guess it isn't rebuilding yet. First, you got to go through the tanking year, and then rebuilding starting next year. I'm assuming they're going to want one of the top quarterbacks as well. So, yeah, that's it for Buffalo. And then Miami, again, another bad team, but this one really isn't their fault. They lost Ryan Tannehill towards ACL. They brought in Jay Cutler, who has retired. He was going to be a Fox analyst. He's familiar with the coach, with Adam Gase. He's familiar with his offense, so that's why they brought him in. He doesn't have to learn. He can jump right in and go. I think a lot of fans are hopeful that he can play well. He played his best. One of the best years of his career was with Adam Gase when he was offensive coordinator in Chicago. But I don't think so. He looked pretty much shot last year. It doesn't look like he has much left. He wasn't he admitted he wasn't in great shape because he wasn't expecting to play. So I don't think he makes it the full season. I think he gets hurt. And as bad as their team will be, that'll be even worse, right? That'll be pretty much the nail in the coffin. That Matt Moore, who's a decent backup, but again, he's a backup guy. Yeah, and it kind of sucks because they were ready to take that next step. They have a lot of weapons on offense. They have Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry. They brought in Kenny Stills. They J.E. really established himself last year as a lead runner. He had a couple huge games, over 200 yards and stuff. So they brought in Julius Thomas. He knew Adam Gase when they were in Denver together. So, it looked like they were getting ready to make a run. They were going to challenge New England. They were getting ready to take that next step, and then bam, Ryan Tannehill goes down. So, got a bad break for Miami. They have a decent players on defense as well. So it's just a bad break. There's really nothing you can do about it. They grabbed a quarterback out of retirement, and they're trying to save their season. But when you lose your quarterback like that, it's unless you're lucky and you get a Kurt Warner type deal going on, it just doesn't work. So unfortunately for them, talented team. They made the playoffs last year. They won 10 games. They're going to take a step back. Luckily, they play in the same division as Buffalo and the Jets. So, again, that could be 4 easy wins. So, they had 10 wins last year. I'll drop them down to like 6 or 7, just because they're going to get those 4 easy wins against their division. But just bad break for the Dolphins. They look like they were going to take a step forward and really challenge New England. But looks like it's just not going to happen this year.
Yeah, and they have... with this Hurricane Irma that's going through my Florida right now. Like, I think it's pretty much confirmed. Like, their Week 1 game against the Bucks is going to be moved to Week 11 on their bye week. So that means like they'll sit out Week 1, but then they're going to have to play 15 weeks in a row. So that's going to be a really tough schedule for them and for the Bucks. So yeah, I mean, just a bad break. I saw the practice video where Tannehill, he was just running and then it didn't look like he got hurt, but then he started limping afterwards, and we later found out that he tore his ACL. So they just have a bad break.
Yeah, didn't get touched, just went down.
Yeah, so they just need to kind of throw this season away. Kind of. I mean, at least, try to build on it, but. I don't think the expectation is going to be there this year for them to do as well as they did last year because of the injury and because of the change of the schedule.
Yeah, that's rough too, man. Playing 16 straight. At least with them not being able to make the playoffs, that it'd be okay for them. It's going to be hard for the Bucks because the Bucks, if they go 16 games and win the playoffs, then they could be 18 games or whatever. But yeah, just a bad break for the Dolphins. Really look like they're gonna do something this year, but looks like they're just gonna have to wait. Dolphin fans gonna wait one more year. So
they've been waiting like more than 10 years now.
Yeah, ever since Dan Marino. So ever since Dan Marino retired, they've been trying to fix that team. So that's the three teams in the division, and this leaves the last one, saving the best for last, just the way it worked out in our preview. New England Patriots. They're kind of like the opposite of the Jets. In that, not a lot to say because they're awesome. Won the Super Bowl last year. They had that epic comeback against the Falcons in the Super Bowl. And then it seemed like they just got better in the offseason. They went out and got Brandon Cooks from the Saints, which has actually ended up being a really, really fortunate move because Julian Edelman tore his ACL in the preseason, and normally that would be like a devastating loss. But they bring in Brandon Cooks, who's probably a little bit more talented than Edelman. He might not know the offense as well as Edelman did, but he's another huge weapon. And then they're also getting back Gronk, who they won the Super Bowl without him. He missed almost the whole year. Now he's back and he's 100%. So they just seem to get better this year. As good as the team they were last year and as scary as they were, they're going to be right there again, even better than before. So they won 14 games last year. There's already talk of them going 16-0. I'm not going to say 16-0. I've only seen that once, which was New England, but that's so hard to do. I don't care how good you are. So, 14, 14 is possible. I mean, they have 6 easy wins in their division, so that's 6 right off the bat. Can they get 14? Yeah. The way this team is built, they could. So it really doesn't matter how many wins they get because they're going to win this division. They can even, they might even cruise at the end of the year. They might just, once they get their division locked up by like October, they could just start resting guys at the end of the year once they get their seeding all taken care of. So 14 is a little high. I'll knock it down to 12 just because they might just take a couple games off and chill. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think after they went for that perfect season and they lost, I don't think they're going to make that mistake again. So, they still go out and they play their best, but I don't think it's that important to them to win every single game, especially since their division rivals are so weak. But I think they're still, like you said, they pretty much reloaded and got better. They lost Edelman, but Gronk's back and they have Brandon Cooks, so they'll be fine.
Yeah.
it's not too much to say. They're going to be another like Super Bowl contender. So
Yeah, and then you still have Brady, who is playing just as well as ever, even though he's 40 years old. He's like playing better than ever. So bringing in a new weapon like Cooks is not a big deal for him. He'll integrate Cooks in there, and he'll get the most. And Belichick, he'll get the most out of him because Belichick's a mad genius and stuff. So yeah.
Well, what about this? Like, what if this is a year where he falls off the cliff and he plays like Peyton Manning the year they won the Super Bowl? Do you think they'll still get by?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Peyton won the Super Bowl that year, right?
Yep.
I think if his skills do fall off, it won't be to a point to where he just stinks. He won't turn into Blake Bortles. He might just take a step back and not and still be better than most of the league. So I think they'll be just fine, even if he does take a step back. So we have our 4 division winners. We agreed on the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Steelers, and the Titans. Last year, the Dolphins were a playoff team, losing Tannehill. That knocks them out. I would say there are 2 wild cards. I would say the Raiders again, and I think the Texans will edge out the Ravens for that second wild card. And depending on seeding, I think it'll be Pittsburgh and New England in the AFC Championship game. Although I would like to see the Steelers and the Raiders play at least one game, because I think that would be a shootout. I think that game will be like 50-45. No defense, fuck it. Let's just throw it out all game. I think Big Ben and Derek Carr throwing for 400 yards each, 4 touchdowns. That would be a fun game just to watch. But the Steelers defense I think is a little better, so they'll prevail there. So I'm gonna go New England and Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship, with New England going back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll make it a lot easier. I just have the Patriots going back to the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter what happens.
So going back to our last podcast, I had so basically I have a rematch. I have the Falcons and Patriots back in the Super Bowl. What was you said Packers Patriots?
Packers.
I think I'd rather see that. I want to see Rodgers and Brady. I want to see Rodgers and Brady go at it at least once, right, in the Super Bowl.
Right.
The 2 top guys over the last 15 years or whatever. Before it was Brady Peyton. Peyton's gone, so that leaves Rodgers. And I was actually hoping for that last year. I really wanted to see Rodgers and Brady at least once in the Super Bowl, but the Falcons really put the hammer down on Green Bay, and they exposed their defense, like you brought up. Their defense was just no match for that high-powered offense, and the Falcons just bombed the shit out of them. So I really would. I think I'd rather see. Well, I don't think I do want to see Rodgers Brady, but I still think the Falcons are a better team. So I got a Super Bowl rematch, Falcons New England. It's hard to go against New England, so I'm picking New England again to win back to back, and giving Brady his sixth Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to predict who wins the Super Bowl, assuming it is those 2 teams, but it'll be fun to watch. So I just want to tell a quick story. Last year for the Super Bowl, you were here in town, and you watched like 3/4 of the game, right? And you had to head to the airport, so the game was pretty much over. And then when you got to the airport, then were you looking at the score on your phone to come back?
Yeah, I was because I had to take the car to the rental office. You had to drop it off. So I was kind of too busy to be checking, but I hear other people around me were like, "Oh, you see that? You hear about that?" And I was like, "What's going on?" And then you started texting me like, "I'm not even kidding. They're coming back." And I was like, "Oh no." Like, no way. It was 28-3 when I left. Like, how? Man, that was I was pretty pissed. I was able to see some of it in the airport on the TVs, but even then I had to jump on my plane, so I didn't. So, but when the comeback happened and it was official, I was in the air.
Yeah.
Man, I've seen every Super Bowl my whole life, and then the one that I'm like, it's over. Freaking best Super Bowl ever. Pretty funny. But yeah, I gotta go against New England. I mean, I can't go against New England this year, so I think they'll do it again. I mean, anything can happen. Of course, it's football. You know, something could happen. Brady can go down. He can break a leg. Gronk could go down again, and maybe this time it'll be just too much to overcome. But you know, or a team like Pittsburgh, just Big Ben. You know, like you said, he's going out. And if he's going to go out, he's going to go out on top, and he plays the best year of his life, and they're able to bump him off. You just never know in football. So that's what makes it such a great sport to watch. It's not like baseball or basketball where the top teams are the top teams, right? Golden State's going to go to the championship again. We all know that. In baseball, it's always like the four same teams. They're gonna go. In football, you just don't know. You just never know what's going to happen. And with the way their playoffs are set up, where it's one and done, you have one bad game, you're out. So it's always hard to predict football, which is one of the main reasons why I love the game. So glad that it's back tomorrow. Right off the bat, we'll get to see New England, Kansas City, great game right off the bat. So I'm excited. Watch the Niners on Sunday, play the Panthers, and you're gonna be at the game, right?
Yep, I'll be at the game on Sunday. So once they win the game, then all the fans will start thinking that they're going to the Super Bowl again, like they did last year
when we beat the Rams.
After they beat the Rams.
Yeah, and we put the hammer on the Rams too. That was great. I was like, oh, maybe. I was like, yeah, maybe we can do. Oh, no, never mind.
They looked good, and then after that, the rest of the season they were terrible.
And what did we have, like 14 straight losses?
Yep.
Because we didn't win until the last game, right? Until we beat the Rams.
I guess it was the last game, but I don't know when they got the second win. But like you said in the last podcast, like when you came up for the game, like even when they had a big lead and they end up losing the game, everyone at the stadium are just they've accepted it because the team is just so bad, So, but I think people are excited for this year because of all the changes that they've made. Like they're actually putting the effort in to show that they want to win. Versus the last 2 years, they didn't really make any moves to show that they want to win. So just them showing that the management showing that they want to win, that brings a lot of hope for the fans. So we'll see how this season goes.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being competitive. I don't know we're not going to win a lot, but at least make the games competitive. Last year was so bad. It was so hard to watch. Games were over by the second quarter. We played the Falcons, right? During the game, was that last year?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I mean there were a lot of games where they were just.
It was like over. It was like in minutes, the game was over. It was like 21-0, just done. I was like, man, and trying to sit and watch the rest of the game, and you can't. It's just so bad. So I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad we got a new coach, new GM, new culture. I'm excited to get up there and check out all the Ring of Honor and the banners, and see them embrace the past like that. And it's gonna be a fun year. Not a winning year, but a good fun year. So I'm excited. So that wraps up our 2017 NFL preview. Got to talk about each team a little bit, the ups and downs, who we think we're gonna go far and who's not, and then we'll see how right I am at the end of the year. See how my predictions go and how my teams do.
We can always revisit this podcast and see how well we did.
It's like, well, I guess the Jets weren't tanking. They just won 10 games. What do I know?
Well, that's the thing about football, right? Like, you really don't know.
You just don't. You don't know. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll come back at the end of the year. We'll check it out again. But yeah, that's it for us. Enjoy football. It's back, and we'll see you guys next time.